Okay. So do I need to talk my background? You want me back? Okay, I'll give my intro. All right, is it on? I'm sorry.
It's on.
Ooh. Okay, sorry. Okay. I'm Teresa Makowitz, and I've been in education for about 20 years, and I love special education, and that is where my passion is. I write children's books for these children. I teach these children Monday and Wednesdays for substitute teaching. I've been all over the States with my Coast Guard husband, and my passion is to keep going and to help children learn how they learn best and to move on with this. That, you know, it's not a crutch. We just have to figure it out because you are smart. And so this is why I do what I'm doing. I struggled myself for 30 years with my left eye, where I saw double, and with reading was difficult even in college. But when I got to about my 30s, I got over it. So we're going to talk about special education testing right now. I want this to be helpful to parents, not just to be a crutch to go, oh my God, what is this? No, if you have questions, I want you to ask me. And if you don't, we can move on. But I just want to make that accessible for you. Okay, so when we look at birth to 3 months, we're going to look at gross motor, fine motor. Gross motor is when you're actually moving around with your big, large muscles. Fine motor is your hands, very thin hands, right, to move small muscles. Self-help, you want to make sure that we can actually self-help ourselves in order to take care of ourselves. When we go up to cognitive, we want to make sure that the kids can start to speak or try to speak on their own, trying to learn how to use language to get what their needs and wants are. Communication and language, coos, cries. These are educational ways that these children can actually talk to you. And I actually teach sign language to help that come out and promote language that way too, either through sign or regular language. Then you come to the social emotional. We want kids to understand how to calm themselves down. They want to learn all these skills in this time from birth to 3 months. You know, they're still babies, but there's certain little things that they can learn to cope and help themselves. So that's important. It's important. This is a very important stage. So we're going to move on, unless you have any questions. Okay. 3 months to 4 years, right? We start with the 3 months, 6 months. You know, these are all development milestones, and I have this, and I can print them out and make sure that the library has it for 2 years, 3 years, and 4 years. Now, every child develops differently. Every child has their own strategies of how to learn and to function in their environment. So, you know, you have all these different things, and then when they get to 4 years old, we want to make sure that they can talk in sequence and speak a little bit clearer further. And you want to make sure that you understand all these things or try to understand it, so that way if we're seeing a deficient in this, now we can go to early intervention and try to help the kids there. Yes, move on. Okay. 4 to 6 years old, we have this. Again, we have the cognitive skills, physical development, which is the gross motor, where they're going to be playing with, bicycles, tricycles, and moving on. Physical development with the fine motors, writing with hands or crayons or whatever you need to do. Then we get social skills. We want to make sure that they can help themselves and they can do whatever they need to do. Please, thank you, and so on. All these skills are very important, even at the little age. Communication development. 3-step directions. We want to make sure a child can actually understand something in 3 steps. Now, if you see something and you think it's not correct, definitely check in with your pediatrician. Definitely try to talk to your teachers. Definitely, I'm just giving you the baseline or the understanding of some of it, right? Whereas you can take from me, I'm Mrs. Sunshine, and go to your Mrs. Sunshine, your doctor, your special education teacher in the classroom, or whatever, in order for you to understand more if you're not seeing these things. Now, all these can be printed, and I will print it for the library, and I can give it to you so you can actually look at it and really analyze what your child does, because I don't know. 6 years to 8 years, we're going to go from all the way. We're going to have developmental, communicational, right? Social, emotional, all this goes over. And you want to make sure that 6 to 8 years, that's a big span. However, we can make sure that we figure out where you think you might be lacking, and you might want to check in with your doctor or not, But at least if you know your kid is on track, we're good to go. So you want to just be careful of those milestones. Here's early intervention. Now, early intervention is very, very, very helpful. So you can call them, and have your child evaluated. If you have your child evaluated, right, then you can say, I did my job. I had my child evaluated because he was being a silly goose, and they were able to give me exactly where he was. I have twins, so where they both were, they checked both of them to make sure it's okay to get it checked, because why not? That way, if we catch it early, then we'll be able to deal with it later, or where they come to that next level. So early intervention is key, especially for autism or whatever you need to do. But I would definitely, again, talk to your primary care and discuss with them what you're seeing, because you're the parent, you're the person who knows the most about your child. And I can look at it, okay, yeah, I have 20 years experience, but that does not mean that I know everything, right? You know your child better, and you should really trust yourself. So here we go. So we're talking about Lexi reading. So kindergarten to first grade, you're going to see over there, Lexi bands. There's nothing right there, okay? And Common Core standards bands, still nothing. But when we get to second to third grade, there is an actual score. So 450, and it has an L for Lexi, okay? And 730 is L for Lexi, right? And you keep going. And then you can see where your child lands. Now, if your child is in second grade and does not land in this, you may want to talk to your special Mrs. Sunshine, or not. Right? It could be visual. It could not be visual. It could be whatever it is, but you have to kind of deep into it just to make sure, because really the key is you want kids to, from preschool, kindergarten to third grade, to really have that good solid reading and everything, and good solid math, right? Because fourth grade, guess what? We're starting to use that. And if you can't use it, then kids get frustrated. Kids get out of the cracks. We got to talk to that Mrs. Sunshine, the special educator. We got to talk to the teachers. We got to just talk to people, and it's okay to talk to people. So right here is testing. So you can get intelligence testing. Here's a couple right there, Stand Bidet and the WISC, right? I'm sure you've ever heard of, right? All these things. Now, if you're having you're worried about your child, what you want to do is actually write a letter to your special ed department, and you say, hey, can you check out Joey, or whatever the kid's name is, and you say, I want a core evaluation on here, and they will do these things for you. That way you have testing to see if your child is having a hard time or not. And then you can figure that out. And then you can just keep on figuring it out, and then you can understand if your child is having a learning disability or not, right? And we can figure it out, that piece, because we don't want to just assume, we don't want to just jump there. We want to have data to help you. So here is this. This is very interesting, because there's a difference between a 504 and an IEP, okay? So a 504, I'm just going to tell you right now, all it is accommodations. Don't worry, right? So the guidance counselor writes accommodations for the child to be successful in the classroom. So if the kid's successful in the classroom, they will move on, right? And that usually stops it right there. So here you go, they're in regular education, 504, just to help them. Now, they may have an ADHD diagnosis. Okay, it doesn't matter. All we have to do is figure out how to help that child. Maybe they need frequent natural breaks They can leave the room, go get a drink, come back. You have all different types of accommodations. What would work for that child? Not for all children, for that unique child. And you want a 504 to have certain accommodations. So that's very important. Do not feel bad if they're on a 504, please, okay? On an IEP, okay, that's individual education plan, okay? That makes sure that these kids, if they have a whatever disability, that we're really fine-tuning. We're giving goals, we're giving objectives to figure out exactly how to teach this child if they have a reading comprehension disability, if they have a math disability, right? You usually don't have a problem in a subject like science or history. It's usually math or reading, okay? So don't get that confused. You can't have a science disability. You cannot have a history disability. So remember that, because usually it's reading or math or somewhere. And remember what I said though, pre-K to third grade, that's your key, right? You gotta make sure all those are strong, and then we move on. So just check in with your Mrs. Sunshine, check in with your people, and make sure you go through. So here we go, so you can go through this. Now, if you want any of this, please just let the library know, and I'd be more than happy to send it, to this community. Okay, so that's that, and usually if a child is struggling, you want to check it, right? Because you don't want their social emotional pieces to fall apart either, and then they feel horrible about themselves. We don't want that, okay? We want to figure out what it is and keep it going. So that's very important, the 504 versus the IEP, individual education plan. So I have this cute little thing. It's to make you laugh, okay? It's not to go crazy on you. So here we go.
Timmy's IEP meeting. I am the VP and will be the administrative designee for this meeting. I am Timmy's mom, and I just want to get my son the help he needs. He is in the 4th grade and cannot read. You will have a chance to discuss your parental concerns later, so let's get started. We are holding this meeting at your request after trying RT. I am having an SST meeting. Let's start with the assessment results for the WISC-4 IQ test. Timmy's full scale IQ is a 102, but he had some scaled scores and standard scores that were considered low average to borderline. What are you saying? I don't get it. Let's discuss the fact that Timmy cannot read. We will get to that. I am trained and knowledgeable, and these results are valid and reliable. But Timmy cannot read. The next assessment was the Woodcock-Johnson 3 achievement test. Timmy's broad reading standard score was a 78. His reading fluency standard score was a 75, and his reading comprehension standard score was a 77. Does this mean Timmy cannot read? We will get to that. Remember, I am trained and knowledgeable, and these results are valid and reliable. Also, I provided the assessments in Timmy's primary language, but Timmy cannot read. The next assessment was the TVPS assessment test for visual processing. Timmy's scaled score on visual memory was a 6, and his scaled score on visual spatial was a 5. I have now finished explaining all of the assessment results in clear, easy to understand language, because I am trained and knowledgeable, and these results are valid and reliable. It is now your turn to tell us your parental concerns. I have been telling you my parental concerns all along. Timmy cannot read. Please explain to me what everything you said meant, because I still don't understand. Oh, all right. As I have already clearly explained, Timmy cannot read.
Shocking, right?
Next time, I am going to visit specialeducationadvisor.com before the meeting so that I am better prepared and understand what all of this means.
So it's to be funny but not funny, right? We don't want this poor Timmy to be your kid, right? Like, we don't want that. It was to show that sometimes there's a lot of jargon that's thrown out there and you have no idea, and that's not your fault. It really isn't. And you have to figure out how can you better assess for your child. And, sometimes you would look for I'm an advocate also, but like, I'm not saying just for me, but I'm saying you can get an advocate, right? And an advocate can explain what's really going on with the process. So that way you can, advocate for your son or daughter correctly. So that way you're not worried and you're like, oh my God, what does this mean? Yeah, the mother was clearly frustrated. Let's face this, right? And I would be too, if that was my kid. I'm telling the teacher, I'm like, hello, I just told you 500 times that my kid cannot read. Can you help me here? And so unfortunately, sometimes that is an IEP process, but not all the time. So please just make sure you check in with your Mrs. Sunshine. Make sure you talk to your special ed directors, your teachers, your people, your doctors, your PC, okay? Because you want to make sure Timmy can read later, right? We need to figure this out for him. So that's just to make you laugh, but not make you laugh, because it's true sometimes. Okay. So what is your thinking? What is your thoughts? What is your thoughts?
On the whole,
what you just saw.
maybe think C-3PO was the teacher.
Yeah, wait, did she connect to anybody?
No, she was just regurgitating what she did.
Yeah.
Not even with Timmy, just like what she does all day.
Right, and she's giving data, sure.
Oh, yeah.
But is she really understanding? No. And she's not giving you what the child needs socially, emotionally, academically. She's not really telling you. She's not breaking it down, right?
Mother was communicating.
Damn, poor mom.
Yeah, poor mom. Poor Timmy.
Poor Timmy. Thank you. Yes. And so we're going to go here. Just to let you know, I've done speaking engagements across into Germany. So if you have any questions about this, about what we just went through, because I'm going to jump to autism if you have no questions, or.
Is there ever a scenario, a situation where someone doesn't need the IEP, they just need an extra attempt or two to get it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. So we can just talk to the teacher about that, we could just, if that's what you need to do, exhaust all your options around you first, right? If you have the IEP, okay, then that kid needs probably the IEP. There's probably a real reason, let's look at the data. If it's just needs to be, it's just good teaching if it's repetition. It's just good teaching. And that's what I do as a teacher. I say it probably like 300 times in that room. It's not because they can't handle it, because they might need to hear it. Repetition is a mother of learning, right? So it's okay, right? And so people need to understand that just because they repeat doesn't mean anything, right? It means that, okay, they need to catch it one more time.
Is it a breakthrough where they get it all in one, or is it incremental, like when they try again, they get a little more, like climbing steps? Or do they just one time, oh my God, I did it?
Depends on the child, right? So I actually used an autism strategy at a high school level. It was awesome. And it was basically you want to support the student with social emotional pieces, right? And what I did with that was I did errorless teaching, which was unbelievable. Like I just learned this I did some with the autism stuff with the kids. So errorless teaching, sometimes these kids get so nervous, the anxiety is like this, they're scared, they're really scared, and they don't even know how to break out of that. So errorless teaching allows them to break out of it. So what I did with some of the students is they would be like, did I do this right? And they're in a math test and they're like screaming, like without screaming, but they're like, and I would say, I would erase because I know they know it, right? I would erase, try it again, right? And then I'm not giving him anything. I'm not giving him anything. Try it again, erase, errorless teaching. Then the kid goes through and he goes, is this right? I'm like, I'm not helping you. Just try. And then the kid tries a little bit. Says, that looks pretty good. I walk away. I walk away to ensure confidence, right? I walk away so the kid can go, I got this, right? So it's all like really good teaching will help these children. And that's what we need to get to, right? We need to make sure that these children understand that it's okay to learn differently. Everybody does, right? So but I'm gonna just move on. Is that okay? So then I have this silly thing, but we're gonna just probably, because I want to get to autism, right? But I do have the sign language. I'll let you listen to the music for like a couple seconds. Ready?
Woo!
So this is my sign language. So just to have a little fun. And I'm going to stop it there because we want to move on. But that's fun for sign language, that the kids can actually do that in sign language and tell you it's cold outside, right? And along with the music. So I was doing that with my Sign 2 Me teaching certificate. And this is where I am. This is who I am. In college, I did make the Kappa Delta Pi in education. I didn't realize that was a thing, and that was so, to be honored like that. Until I got it twice by accident. I thought it was a drinking thing. But anyway, I learned that it's not, and I am skilled at this, and I want to help these children. So here's this. I'm going to go right into autism because I don't want to waste your time. So let's get this out. But thank you very much. Let's go to autism. See, now I feel old because now I got to wear the glasses, right? And we're gonna go this. And the lady behind there is my favorite teacher. She's my Mrs. Sunshine. She supported me throughout my life. Unfortunately, she's passed on, but she was there when Scribbles was born in 2017, she was there, and she actually was able to be there for me in East Bridgewater High School and East Bridgewater Library. I feel like she's helping me support the children because I told her I was going to do that. So trying to give her legacy to go. So we're both Mrs. Sunshine. I actually had the same students as her. That was pretty cool to have your teachers. She's really cool, Mrs. Sperry. She's great. So we're going to talk about autism, okay? Now, I didn't realize autism, really just got diagnosed, and please tell me if I'm correct or wrong, but what I was reading was it was about 1996-ish is when it was really getting out there and talked about, and people are really researching it. Maybe I'm not correct, but I really think that was the reading that I read. And I say that because I was in school, and I didn't know about autism when I was in school. I just knew about special education. Now, if I knew about autism, I would have had some fun, and I probably would have went that route too. So later, when we came back to Massachusetts, we were coming from Connecticut back to Mass, I jumped into autism. I learned it fast. I was able to help this little man. He was awesome. And at 3 years old to 5 years old, and he's doing great now. I'm really proud of him. I'm proud of his parents. His parents are great. They just loved him so much, and he was awfully cute. So of course he would. And he's doing extremely well because of the early intervention for this kid. So he's a doll, and he will always be in my heart. So anyway, so we'll go on. So ABA centers are very great. They're wonderful. Actually, I'm going to probably be working with them. I got to call them, to let them know about Tommy and Mrs. Sunshine, which I renamed to be Tommy. So I have these books out here on Amazon to help you understand how these children learn. Now, they learn differently. Who cares? But when they learn because they don't know social skills, they can't pick it up, they can't understand. Like if you show a smile, what does that actually mean? If you show a frown, what does that mean? Oh, you want me to play with this? They don't understand what play really is, and so we have to teach them, where a lot of students, it would be innate in them. So we have to teach, right? So you're gonna see that for autism's early stages. Maybe not smiling when inspected, not responding when you say their name, referring to play alone, right? Instead of playing with the group. So not every kid is social, like I understand that. However, you might wanna just watch it, that's all, right? Watch it. Not looking at objects when you point to them out, they don't care. They're in their own little worlds sometimes, right? The little boy I had, he was a doll. I would do ABCs with him, right? And I would flip it over to break him so he could get out of that. Oh, he did not like this. And then he would flip it back in the D, E, F, G, and he would continue. Well, that was in the beginning. By the time I was done with him, he was playing, right? And he understood play, and he understood how to play with others, and he understood facial expressions. When I saw his parents do a wonderful thing at Disney, and he was next to Grumpy, the character in Disney World, he made the grumpy face. I was like, yes, this is what we need. And he knows how to do it, which is great. That's what we want. He was understanding. The not responding to facial expressions. So I was working at Amigo, and Amigo does great job. And the other thing is, you can look at Beacon also. So you can get your evaluation through these people, right? Either one, I'm just saying, right? And then you can have your child looked at. You get to have your doctor look at this, right? So you want to just keep this going. If you see any signs, maybe it's just a fluke. Maybe it isn't. I don't know. You know your child, not me, right? And just to be understanding. Now, there's ABA, applied behavioral analysts, ways of teaching these children. Sometimes you give cards to the children. Sometimes you do it in a natural setting, right, to teach them at the natural state. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you're on that floor playing with a car. I don't know, whatever it is, but whatever the child needs. The best thing is the person who's in charge of you, right, is your manager, your supervisor, and they set up the program and then tell you, okay, they need to point to a smiley face on a card 5 times. Right? So you present it 5 times to the child, and then you take data. So everything's data driven. It's awesome. So I was very impressed with Amigo. I don't know enough about Beacon. It's nothing about that or not, but I'm just saying that I worked with Amigo and they were great. And then the kids learned and they were able to soar. So kudos, right? So that was that. And then ABA centers are great. They give great information. So I'm just giving you information. So, autism diagnosis. So here it is, right? There isn't a specific test, medical test for autism. For example, a blood test. You can't figure it out that way, and it's okay, right? It can be difficult to diagnose, right? However, these steps can take you to a qualified doctor to figure out if it's autistic or not, right? Where on the spectrum does your child land or does not land? Maybe you misread the whole thing. Who knows? But I would definitely just talk to somebody. What's the worst that could happen, right? So we go over here and we have developmental screening. And then you want to look at emotions, behavior, thinking, movement, language, all these things you can usually figure out, but you have to be, these like questionnaires, short tests, you kind of figure out where they were in their birth weight and stuff like that. You just want to talk to someone who knows this stuff, and it's okay, right? I'm not saying I'm perfect. I do have some experience, and I will absolutely be that person to navigate you to that next level if you need it. I think it's very important for us just to come together and help each other and help the children. That's why I named it Tommy, because Tommy needed help, But it wasn't just Tommy on my book. What it is that, Tommy was the kid who had autism, right? And I had my friend who's does autism advocacy, he was amazing. I had him look over my book and I said, hey, do me a favor, check it, right? Because I want it to be authentic. I don't want my stuff to be, oh, that's great, you just throw it on paper. No, I want it to be right. So he looked at it and he goes, you're missing one point. And then I said, oh, you're right. And I took his advice because why? Because he knows it, not me, right? I don't live it, he does. So I took his advice, put it in, and I made sure that Tommy, the kid who is autistic, also learned from the kids who are not. And they have to understand each other. It shouldn't just be one way. So I made that a beautiful connection, and Mrs. Sunshine made a kickball, environment so they all can learn from each other. And I think that's very important, that we all need to help each other and understand what we're working with, right? So here we go. We have, so you might want to look at right here. And I could print this out if people want it. I could give it to the library, the Easton Library, and here are your stages. So, you know, you need to just make sure you understand, or just watch to see if this kid has, you know, social problems, or, you know what I mean? Like if they are not understanding what's happening in their environment, or if they're just so narrow focus on whatever they need to do, then we might have to look at that a little further. And it could not be autism. It could be something else. Who knows? But it's good to check, just to be, you know, to let these kids know that we love them. So then we go over here, autism testing. Usually a person completes a test. It is not a specialist, such as a developmental pediatrician, okay, or psychologist, a child psychologist, okay? So we want to look at these things. And here are some tests right here. I'm sure you can read them. And I want you to think about these things, okay? This is not the end all and be all, but you know, this is a really good resource with the ABA centers. They're good, and I would check into them. And I want to work with them too, with my books, so. Here's additional evaluation to use the diagnosis testing, okay? So you might want to look at that too. You know, look at the motor skills. Sometimes you have to figure out how to teach them motor skills, large motor skills, fine motor skills, right? Language, vision. It could be vision or hearing. We might be missing the point completely. They thought I had a reading comprehension disability because of my eye. I did not. I couldn't see. So, just saying. So here we are. We're over here at ABA centers and getting along with autism diagnosis, right? And then you can figure all this out. Now, again, if you want this, I will print it. I will give it to the Easton Public Schools, the Easton Library here, and we can work with it. It is okay to be different. Please remember that, okay? Because it doesn't matter. We just have to reach every kid in their way. Autism treatments, we have ABA therapy, which is very interesting. Let me tell you, I learned a lot when I was with Amigo, and I thought they did a great job. I learned about discrete childs, right? Some people go with this and some people don't. They say, oh no, that's not a great idea, you know? So everybody has their own way of doing things. When I worked with the kids, it seemed to work, right? And I'm not gonna challenge it. And I think it's very interesting how a kid can learn one way and another kid can learn a different way. It doesn't matter, whatever works for that kid. So just know that it's okay, you know. And then, oh, this is cute. Are you ready for this one? So here we go. I like this one. Oh.
Is a spectrum disorder and varies significantly from person to person. Some people with ASD may require significant support in their daily lives, while others may need less support, and some live entirely independently. Changes in brain development associated with autism begin during the prenatal period. These changes are associated with differences in genetics. It is possible to diagnose ASD when a child is between 18 and 24 months of age. Early behavioral intervention helps children with autism learn to communicate and socially interact and has a significant impact on long-term outcome. Support for learning social and communication skills can be helpful throughout adolescence and adulthood. People with autism sometimes have other conditions, such as higher rates of sleep disorders, ADHD, anxiety, depression, and gastrointestinal issues. Treating these co-occurring conditions can make a big difference. As adults, people on the autism spectrum can become employed and contribute in important ways to society. The world is a better place if the qualities of people who are neurodiverse are accepted and valued. The Duke Center for Autism and Brain Development provides state-of-the-art interdisciplinary clinical care, conducts cutting-edge research, trains the next generation of scientists, and advocates for public policies to help ensure people with autism reach their full potential.
Absolutely. Remember that, because if we just learn how this child learns, we're good. So, and what was your thoughts on that? Was that okay? Like, did you understand? Yeah, it was pretty.
Yeah, explained everything.
Some people put plants in front of their house for aesthetic purposes. We grow plants in front of our house.
I don't know where that is from. Hold on. I apologize. Let's see. Oh, look at this. It didn't shut off. So let's just fix this. I apologize. Okay, get rid of that. What was that doing? I think I moved on to another video that I did not accept. It's fine, whatever. So we're here, and we're here to talk about, like, doesn't matter how people learn, we just learn and we figure it out. We try to help the child as best you can and dig into where the data is and try to figure out things.
Sorry.
What just happened? Oh, okay. So then we have a reaction, about, oh Lord. So that threw me off. What is going on here? Hold on. I'll help you out. Ready? We're going. Here, okay. So there's naturalistic environment. You set up the environment for the child to learn. In that way, they can show you how they can deal with whatever's going on in their environment. So for instance, if you set up that you're going to play, I don't know, cars or whatever, and you have the car show in moving around, it's in their natural environment. They're playing on the ground with the car, and it's okay to play with that. To street trials, it's like I said, it was more cards. You might show them a card. Okay, what does this face look like? And it might say sad or happy or whatever. Then the child has to figure that out, and because you actually have to teach them these skills. So I think that's interesting. But it's not just common knowledge for them. We have to teach them these skills, okay? And then I love this because look at how many famous people, come on now, right? All these people have changed the world. So, does it matter? Nope. Oh, gee. All right, we're gonna take a photo, hold on. Thank you. Yeah, I think it's important. It's important. Just because you think differently means nothing. So, and then just to have fun, we have some sign language. We could do some more milk, just to joke with you. More milk. It's cute music, so. Please may I have more milk? So we're gonna stop there. But so if you wanted to continue that, we can do those other things. I was trying to jam 2 PowerPoints into, so. But, this is who I am. I am a person who wants to help these children correctly. I think if we all put our heads together and help each other learn how a kid learns, we can always help a child figure it out. I might not have all the answers, but maybe you have the answers or you have the answers. And then we put our heads together. We're like, oh, that would make sense. And then we might want to tell you that with the doctor and then, or the nurse or whoever's in their environment, the Mrs. Sunshine, the special educator in their environment, could do all those things. So I'm writing for these children and I work with them. I work with emotional and behavioral kids on Monday and Wednesdays, substitute teaching. And I think I need to, right? I need to do that when I'm not writing. And I'm fortunate, my husband's in the Coast Guard, so I have to be flexible with that. And I have twin boys, so I have to be flexible with that. But this is my passion and my books are coming. I'll just tell you real fast. Scribbles won 2 awards. Best Body, Children's Best Mind, Body, and Spirit in the International Best Books Award in the Best Books Award. So both those categories twice won in that first year. So I didn't realize that that was a thing or a big thing until someone told me. I was like, oh, okay. So it does work. It's for inclusion, to help kids know that it's okay. Then we have Jason and Kevin is basically what I'm going to say is for Down syndrome, to make it happy. Like, these kids are successful. We can play football. I don't care what anyone says. And they do. And they make it football. And there's a little bullying situation in there on purpose because sometimes it happens, right? And we need to understand how to get through it. So Mrs. Sunshine, don't worry, she takes care of them, right? And she explains that it's okay to have these problems, but we need to figure out how to support and love each other, right? And be successful each other. So that's that. I'm writing right now Tommy and Mrs. Sunshine. This is one about like Tommy just really doing so well in math, and then the other kids have to understand him while he has to understand them. So this story and Tommy are the same. I'm just going to let you know. I just made it Tommy just to go along with, because all the other ones are just one name. So I apologize if you see both of them in the same book, but I'll tell you right now, I'm going to be honest with you, I did not like the text on that. It was kind of small. So that's why Tommy was developed, because we need text. We can actually read. I don't know. I need it. So to make you laugh. Helen is about dyslexic. Right, and I didn't realize how many people need this right now. So if you know a person who has dyslexic, or who is dyslexic, it puzzles me, because I had a student who needed it, but I see it more and more. And my boss, my principal, actually wrote TMAC, because that's my nickname there. I love how you showcase. How special Helen is, rather than focus on her struggles, okay? Because Helen has the struggle of dyslexic, and support, her on her struggles. It's your superpower. So my principal said that to me, and I really appreciate that. And I want to help the kids who have a hard time with that. And the last one that's coming out this month, on the 15th, is Oliver. Oliver is for the ADHD kids who struggle, right? And so we might need a little strategies. Yes, we might use some medicine in the beginning, but I'll tell you, I saw so many times where lunchtime and this poor kid, I felt bad, like he would just fall apart, or they would fall apart right after lunch, and I would have a hard time. I'd be like, what's happening? And then I would figure it out, and I would use strategy. So Mrs. Sunshine gives strategy to Oliver to help Oliver figure it out. Everything's written at about a third grade level with some high vocabulary, because as parent teachers, series is what I'm doing, and eventually I'm going to be doing just a little kids series, but that is that. And I'm at Barnes & Nobles a lot, and I'm going to be pushing out other stuff. Next month, I'm going to have anxiety for using music. So Alexander has a saxophone, and he uses his saxophone to help him through his anxiety about not being the top banana all the time, or the top bag of chips, if you understand what I'm saying. So we have to learn that. Sometimes we do, and we have to understand how to teach children it's okay to have some anxiety, okay, it makes you alive. However, we're gonna make sure that you pull back and you're gonna be okay, and you need some strategies to help you with that. But I wanna thank you very much for coming, and everybody for watching this video and understand what I'm trying to do. I've been in multiple states. I've been in Virginia, Connecticut, Massachusetts, and my home state is Massachusetts, and I will try to keep pushing on. I'm actually with Honeydew every Friday, which is amazing. They understand what I'm doing, and Honeydew is trying to help me reach all the kids who struggle with me, and I think I'm very thankful for anybody who can help me get where I need to for these children. So thank you very much, and I appreciate all of you. So I don't know if the video is still going, but this is Teresa Backwoods. And that's about it. So I'm gonna shut down, I guess. Did you have any questions?
A couple.
Sure.
My son, statement and then questions.
Sure.
Sign language actually helped
Yeah.
my youngest speak.
Yep.
He learned please and more and thank you before
Verbal.
verbal.
Yep.
And I think that played a key part of his development of learning.
Absolutely, because so a lot of people think that sign language brings them back and holds them back. Is not true. In my experience. It actually did what your son needed. So sometimes some parents will go, oh, they have two languages, English and sign language. And I say, once they can speak, they're going to drop that sign. Just letting you know, unless they're really interested in it, they keep doing it. Like me, I was weird. I liked sign language, and I thought it was very interesting to talk to the deaf population and try to figure out how to help them, because I guess I'm a helper, and I want to help all special ed or people who struggle, right? So
My daughter's fascinated by it.
yeah, it's
She learns it so she can communicate.
right, isn't it awesome? Yeah. So I learned it in college, and I loved it. And I was working as a waitress, and you take orders that way. It was pretty awesome.
Helps if it gets noisy too. If you and another waitress or bartender knows it, you can, rather than yell.
Yes, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
Then they were asking me what time I was working and what days I was working. I was like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And then they were telling me jokes in sign language. I was like, yeah, all right, let's do this, and we had some fun. But did you have another question?
When you were talking about not noticing or not seeing something, is that oblivious to said item, or just sees it but they don't give it the attention as someone not on the spectrum? What did you mean? But can you further explain that?
So I think sometimes people just don't know. It's not completely their fault at all.
Yeah.
And I think they need to just, if you can, and I'm saying this in a loving way, like if you can, you try to look for stages, right? And development stages. You talk to your doctor, are they reaching the stages that they need to reach for 6 months or so on, right? And then when you hear yay or nay, then I would reach out. So I would definitely have that conversation with your doctor, your pediatrician, to make sure that you're on the same page, because sometimes you may not see it, because maybe that's how you interact with the world, right? So as long as you can see, oh, is that developmentally okay? Is it not? And it's okay. Everybody's different. So it doesn't matter. We just have to figure out how to make sure the child learns in an appropriate setting. Does that make sense? Did I say it right? Yeah. So I definitely would look at, I guess I'm a little nerdy. I do look at charts, and I do look at data, and I look at all those things because, with my twins, I was tired, everything I saw, all the time. And I had to figure, okay, what is this kid doing? What is this kid doing? And then, I just kept reading to them all the time. When I was teaching and I was pregnant with them, they probably heard language a lot because I was an English teacher. So all those things make a difference in a child's world, especially early childhood. That area is the key, preschool to fourth grade, really, third grade. There's Dolch lists out there. We can talk about that for reading. I'm going to be coming back in December. We're going to talk about dyslexia. And if they want me to come back in next year, that's awesome. And then we have more things that we can explore. So
You talked about there are things people not on the spectrum need to understand.
correct.
But you also said that there are things that people on the spectrum to understand. What is it they need to understand?
It depends where they are, right? So if they're on the spectrum and they don't really understand social behaviors, we might have to teach them, and that's okay, right? And if maybe they understand too much about that and they're on the other end, and then we have to, teach them. So I was very blessed that I was in Connecticut, and I talked to Dr. Joe in the Yale. He's in Yale. He was awesome, and he was doing a bunch of research on, autism. So if you want to look up Dr. Joe, I would definitely do that because he was fabulous, and he does a bunch of research. Now, the other two advocates that I spoke to back then, they're actually coming into Massachusetts, which I think is awesome because I actually saw one. I was like, hey, wait, I thought you were in Connecticut, And so I think it's getting more out there, and people are starting to accept and they understand how to help more than just shutting it off. Mm-hmm. And I think we need to understand how to do these things. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you have any other questions? No, that was it. I don't know. Goodbye. maybe they can edit this.
I think they will.
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I didn't even know they had a YouTube. I'm going to subscribe to them.
I didn't know that either until they came, oh, we can put it on YouTube. I'm like, oh, there's my Mrs. Sunshine. So,
Nice job, very good.
Thanks. Yeah. I just want to make sure people understand that it's not always the kid.
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah, because it's hard, right?
Yeah, yes it is.
Oh, what time is it? I don't even know.
7:50.
Oh, look at that, an hour. Bam, we did it in 2.
I have to run to Sharon.
Oh, no, thank you so much for
Yeah,
coming.
no, I wanted to hit this, but I knew something was wrong because the vet called and then my wife called and I'm just like,
I gotta go.
texted my wife, and then when I stepped out, it was the vet again.
Oh, no.
And they heard the video, like, oh, we can tell you're in the middle of something, we're sorry. I'm like, I'll be there before you close.
Oh, but thank you so much. I
Yeah,
appreciate
absolutely.
it. Yeah.
Find out where you are and what do you get, monthly or like?
So they wanted me in October, they wanted me in November, and they wanted me in December. So
Okay, December.
I will be here in December. And then I'll be at Barnes & Noble.
Do you know which,
And tomorrow, Thursday, I'll be at the coffee house. It's called Boundless Bean, which is basically it's all special ed kids
yeah.
like working the
Oh,
coffee shop. It's pretty neat. And so it's right in Bridgewater.
Do you know what you're talking about next month or you're
Yeah,
not there?
dyslexic.
Oh, this class, oh, okay.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Helen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the first one was supposed to be about scribbles,
Yeah.
and that's why I just went through
All
it
right.
kind of fast. And then we were talking about autism, which was supposed to be just today.
Yeah.
And then Helen will be, it'll be December with dyslexic, so that way we can understand, like, some disabilities, right? And and then I can keep growing it if they want to hear it. Do you know what I mean, for the
Yeah.
population? So I think it's important. Yeah, because I think these people need to understand that it's
Again, that's
okay.
that's my daughter.
Hmm.
She learned bed. Did you know?
Yep.
Like B.
Yeah.
And that was how because she screwed up her B's and D's.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'll tell her maybe I'll bring her next month.
Yeah. If it's just like, so you want to look at it? Because I like this part. I did this on purpose.
Sometimes I have a hard time reading. The letters get mixed up. What did I miss?
No, this right here.
Oh. I was looking over there. I'm like, what am I missing? Yeah, no, that's
Pretty much it in
Yep.
a nutshell, right? So I did that on purpose. But I made sure that people understand that it's a power too, because she's dyslexic, but she had a different superpower where she can find things fast.
yes.
So yeah, it might be hard, but then her friend used to mess with her and hide Fancy all around the room. And then she's like, hey, can you get me something harder? And they would have sleepovers and they would care about each other. And that's what it's about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's like, but you can read. Well, you can do pictures in your head, and then go back and forth, right? So they can understand this type of stuff. So I want that to, and Mrs. Sunshine's back again. And so this series is all Mrs. Sunshine teaching the teachers, teaching the parents, teaching the kid, right?
Yeah.
That it's okay. The next series, which I got it ready to go, PBS almost picked it up, is basically Fancy's the magical frog. Jumps into people's situations, like Jason and Kevin's situation, and then the frog fixes it and jumps back into Teresa's pocket, so I'm going to be pushing that out. Hopefully PBS in Rhode Island take it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's about it.
All right.
Do you want a Smartie because you're smart?
I'll take Sure, I'll take a
So do you want some Smarties like your child for your children?
you know what? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, please do.
I don't know who's got what for. Maybe they will, and I'll take this one someday.
Yeah, that's right. Do you want one for your wife?
Well, you know what? Just in case.
Yeah, just in case, don't get in trouble.
Yeah, I know. Some candy she likes, some candy she doesn't.
Yeah, I understand.
So I'm like, okay, just in case. And we have a stash because our kids, especially the teenagers,
Oh, I understand.
rifle I threaten my children when I go shopping. I'm like, Kelly gets this first, and if I find out otherwise, no one gets it.
Yeah, and that's what it's about.
Do you want me to tell
Yeah, look, I'm gonna just go out with you. Yeah,
Oh,
you
okay,
want to go? Thank you so much for
you?
coming.
Oh my God.
Yeah,